What is going on, guys? Summer body success secrets. So excited to bring this into you guys. So we're going to be talking about some stuff that you probably don't even expect. Where you're like, Alex, does this really get me a summer body? It's going to lead to you getting a summer body and creating sustainability around it. So it's not just in for some short-term successes. We want to build on our wins and make this transformation become part of who you are forever. Whether this is just a part of who you are, where you create it as second nature, where it's sustainable, and that's the way that we're going to approach it. We're not in for some quick fixes and like getting that quick summer body. Like getting things fast is obviously great, but we're in a world of instant gratification instead of long-term gratification. I'm just gonna pull my phone up here because I do want to see some comments from you guys as well too. So let me just grab it here on the live. Sarah, nice to see you. What's going on? Okay, there we go. Got Rebecca, Josie. We got lots of people in here. I'm excited. I'm excited. So I want to just start off with some quotes here. Well, actually, before we dive into the quotes, I want you guys to start getting into a place of like what you want to create for yourself, what you want to visualize that you want for yourself. Like, is it feeling confident, wearing that two-piece in Mexico, turning people's heads, and you looking at yourself in the mirror and loving what you see? Happy Friday, Sarah. Is it you looking at the mirror and like loving what you see? Is it being able to show up strong for your kids and having the energy to be able to play with them, not getting gassed out, and like having like the mental capacity to be able to deal with everything and like feeling good when you're putting clothes on in the morning? Like, I want you guys to start really thinking about that as we're initially getting into this, because that's what's going to fuel the fire. That's what's going to help you create that motivation to be able to show up strong for all the things that we're going to be talking about today. So let me just pull this up here real quick. Jill, what's going on? All right, let me just pull this up here real quick. You guys should be able to see this in just a second. I should be able to see it on the live here. Let's see here. Kelly, what's going on? Got a little turnout here. Okay, so summer body success secrets. So if you want to change your life, change your mind. If you want to change your body, change your mind. And we're going to start off with not a fun question that not a lot of people want to hear is, what is it going to cost you if you like, this is obviously we're talking about summer body success secrets, but this is just in general for like your health, for your body transformation, for like how you're going to feel about yourself. Like, what is it going to cost you if you don't do it, or potentially cost you if you don't do it? Is it potentially maybe some health issues? Maybe you're not feeling like you're reaching your full potential and like holding yourself back. One thing that I really like to get people to picture to do is imagine if you had to meet yourself when you passed away, like when you died, you met the version of yourself that you could have been. Like, what if you achieve that? Like, that's one thing that I never want to be in, is like, what if I took action? What if I prioritized myself and my goals? What if I went after my dreams and wanted to create that for myself? What would that look like? What would that future version of yourself look like? And what's it going to cost you if you don't do it? Like, what's your quality of life going to look like? How are you going to feel? How are you going to look? How are you going to feel when you look at yourself in the mirror? Like, these are all things that you want to consider as you're initially getting into this, because I found that was a huge motivator for me. Like, that created the motivation for me to show up on the days that I didn't want to. Deanne, Karen, what's going on, guys? So start to really think about that. Like, it's a hard question to ask, but look at yourself like for real in the mirror and be real with yourself. And I want you to create a vision as well too. So I'm just going to stop sharing for just a quick second. So for me, honestly, it wasn't really about physique. It wasn't about like looking jacked or whatever it was at the time. I obviously the vanity metric is a great thing, but it's definitely not everything. Like, that's more of a side benefit. That's a byproduct of you getting these things down mentally, mental health. Like, by just contracting your muscles, there are scientific studies that it actually excretes proteins into your bloodstream where it counteracts depression. I struggle with depression. Struggled with my whole life. Had a really bad childhood. Didn't really have a whole lot of self-esteem. I got bullied all the time. Always felt inadequate. Never felt like I was enough. Like, regardless of what I did, and like I didn't feel confident doing anything. I hated the way that I looked. I would just wear baggy clothes to hide myself all the time. I was really hard on myself. Like, I was super negative all the time. And being able to love myself, be able to feel confident, like the person that I was seeing in the mirror, feeling like I was reaching my full potential, that was so exciting to me. And like that outweighed me not wanting to show up. That created the discipline that I needed to be able to do it when I felt sore, when I felt tired. I was super crazy busy. And I would still do a little bit. I would still show up. I'd still reach that minimum that I committed to doing on a week-to-week basis to lead to those results. And That's what I really want you guys to do as we're initially getting this, creating that motivation, getting the juices flowing as we're initially getting into things, so we can use that to fuel the fire for you taking action. It would cost me self-confidence and dream life if I didn't do this. Absolutely. Chanel, Tia, what's going on, guys? Okay, let's hop back in to the presentation. Tony Robbins, highly recommend you guys check out Tony Robbins. Great guy, very inspirational, and also very good at creating a solid quality of life. But one of the things that he talks about is anything that can be achieved with a strong enough why. If you have a strong enough why, regardless of what happens, you're gonna find a freaking way to show up. Like I would be working 7 days a week. I'll be working like side jobs, doing stuff for my family, for my partner. And like I was super down on myself in a bad headspace. And my why, that powerful why, allowed me to show up when I didn't want to. We actually have clients where they'll be really consistent for a really long time. And one of the things that deters them, that throws them off track, they'll have some life stuff happen. Maybe they have like a schedule change and they stop going over their goals like that. They almost lose sight of what they were trying to create for themselves. They obviously in the back of their mind, they're like, oh, I want to lose some weight. I want to feel good. Like I want to get healthy. But the specific reason of why they wanted to do it, how they wanted to feel, how they wanted to show up as a mom, how they wanted to show up for their work, for themselves. And they lose sight of it. And I had a client that was reviewing their goals, going over their goals every single day, and they randomly were super inconsistent. I'm like, what's going on here? Like, why are you super inconsistent right now? And we started breaking everything down, started seeing that like she went on a trip, and I'm like, okay, so like we broke it down from when she woke up till she went to sleep. And the only thing that changed, did she start getting complacent? She started justifying bad decisions and like slipping back into old habits and skipping workouts and not eating what she was supposed to be doing. She's like, Alex, I'm kind of bored. Like I'm getting complacent. Like I'm not really as committed as I was before. And she just stopped reviewing her goals. She wasn't clear on what she was trying to create for herself. Like you don't clean the dishes just because like you want to clean the dishes. Like you know that you're going to feel better, like you're going to have less stress. Nobody wants to do the dishes, but it's understanding why you need to do the dishes. How there's going to be clean dishes for everybody. Like it's the same thing of like knowing why you need to be doing these things. And if you're not keeping it front of mind, you're not priming yourself, it's going to be really difficult to create any kind of consistency or sustainability through these ups and downs. Pat, Tia, Juanita, what's going on, guys? I'm liking the turnout. So defining your why, like finding your motivation. So like before we get into the steps, before we start getting into all the things that you need to do to lead to that, we need to be able to have something that is going to help light a fire under your ass to make sure that you're showing up. So importance of like a strong personal reason for weight loss, lifestyle change, like how your why will keep you disciplined even on hard days. Well, again, coming back to what it's going to cost you if you don't do it, maybe that's your why. Maybe that's the side of the coin that you need to visit, where like maybe like the goal doesn't motivate you as much. Maybe it's like understanding what's going to happen and the risks of you not doing it. Because if you doing it versus not doing it, there's always a risk in every decision that you make. And it depends on like what cost is going to come along with that decision. And when you say it out loud, it creates motivation. Like, don't use stuff like, I want to get healthy. I want to lose weight. I want to tone. Like, what is the meaning behind all of that? Like, you need to have it very specific to you where you just say it out loud and it just creates motivation. Like, you feel like you're ready to freaking get after it. For those of you that have been watching it since you started watching this training, you already probably feel a little bit more motivated. You probably already feel that spark that's coming up a little bit more. How freaking awesome would it feel to feel that motivation every single day? Like instead of it being fleeting and like you're wondering when the motivation's gonna eventually tire out, or like when you're eventually gonna fall off track, if you can have a greater meaning, like obviously like the motivation won't always be there, but you're gonna create discipline. They're gonna create the skill of discipline, wanting to show up on those days that you don't want to. So I want you guys to start getting clear. Like even if you want to go in the comments and start putting what your why is, like what you want to create for yourself, start inspiring some other people that are in this community as well. Oh, from Ontario, Tammy, what's going on? Sarah, nice to see. Nice to see. We're getting some shares in there as well too. Like, definitely feel free to put that in there, so that way you might not even have an idea of what your goal is. Like, you know that you want to create something. You know that you want to bring it to a level of maybe you've seen somebody like an influencer. Maybe you saw like a family member that was getting really fit, and you want to be able to feel like that, but you don't have something specific to you. Having other people share can help create clarity around that as well too. So definitely would love to see some shares as well, but let's continue on. So this is a little vision board. that I found. It was a mom-oriented wellness vision board that I think a lot of people could maybe take away from, maybe get something up. So that way you can visualize your goals every single day. Like I'd put it in your schedule, have some time dedicated in the morning just to like start your day off that way. So it sets the tone for the rest of the day, where any decision that you make throughout the day will be more in line with your goals. You maybe there's a decision of having a Timbit or having a donut at work or going out for a Starbucks with your coworkers or something like that. But because you were so clear on what you wanted and creating that motivation and priming yourself in the morning, you're like, you know what? I'm not going to go for that coffee, or I'm not going to go for that Timbit. I'm gonna make sure I do that workout, even though I didn't feel like doing it. You might find other opportunities where maybe you see some stairs and an elevator, and you're like, I'm gonna crush those stairs. Like those little steps that you're gonna take that are gonna compound and bring you to success and lead to big results. 1% better every single day, you're gonna be 37 times better by the end of the year. Getting like a vision board, getting something that you can have as like a screensaver on your phone, on your computer. Like I have Arnold Schwarzenegger staring at me on the wall right now because I want to be a pro bodybuilder. Like that's a dream of mine that I have. Obviously, you guys don't want to be bodybuilders. So start to like think about maybe influencers, other moms that really inspire you and you want to be like them, and having something that you can like be able to visually look at. Maybe and have like a pair of jeans or something like that that you really want to fit into and like hang it up on your wall. Just something that you have to look at. You're like, I'm gonna fit into that pair of jeans and I'm gonna feel freaking awesome doing it. Like whatever that needs to look like for you. Oh, awesome. Lots of people from Ontario. Love it. So the first key, the first key is going to be planning ahead. Like if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. That is one of my favorite sayings. If you want to like write this down, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Like that should almost be like a mantra, or like, or not a mantra, but like something that you say out loud regularly. I constantly say it to my clients. I say it to myself. I even have clients that say it's in the back of their head, but they're like, if I fail to plan, I plan to fail. Like I need to make sure I plan and prep. The more that you focus on future you, the more that you're going to set yourself up for success and mitigate any potential thing from getting in the way because you're planning ahead. When you plan, you also create more awareness on like, is there any events that it's going to be happening this week? Is like work going to be extra crazy busy? Do I have family coming to visit? How am I going to plan ahead to make it so I'm not just winging it and just going into it hoping things are going to work out? That is the equivalent of throwing spaghetti at a wall, hoping that it's going to stick. And you can't rely on that. That's not something that's going to be accurate. It's not something that you can systemize and do on a consistent basis for the sustainable future. For me, micro steps and micro goals lead to bigger steps and bigger goals. Awesome, Tammy. Love that. So yeah, first of all, in the words of Jordan Peterson, if you don't have a schedule, get a damn schedule. Like make sure you have something that you're allocating your time in a strategic way. And when you're planning ahead, one thing that not a lot of you are going to pay attention to is your energy and your bandwidth as well too. Like not just the time, like technically you have time to meal prep all your food Monday evening, but like you're just starting your week off, you're getting all your stuff together, you're getting everything planned out for the week, you're getting like your kids ready to go. Like, are you really going to want to meal prep all your food Monday night? Probably not. Are you going to want to work out in the evening after dealing with all of that, starting your week off? Probably not. You're not going to want to be consistent with it. Maybe doing it in the morning, like it might make more sense to get it done, like maybe on your lunch break. Maybe you want to get it done as soon as you wake up so you can just get it out of the way. And then you're going to have more bandwidth and more energy and more mental clarity to be able to execute. That's kind of why a lot of people prep on Sundays, because they have more time available. They're able to just go to the grocery store, prep things out, get it all ready for the week. So when you're scheduling, also take your energy and your bandwidth into account. Like, it sounds good on paper to get some stuff done after work, but if you're stressed out, like a bunch of things come up, maybe you have like family members that want to help you and you're kind of a people pleaser and you don't know how to set boundaries. So a bunch of potential things can get in the way later in the day, and then you just don't end up following through with it. If you can plan it ahead and also take your energy and your bandwidth into account, that's also going to help solidify like a solid system. And remember, when you're planning things out, like you're going to have to test. Like a lot of this is testing different strategies and testing when you're working out, when you're meal prepping, like how much that you're meal prepping. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that as we continue on with this. So load up on high satiety foods, like making sure you're planning to like have like high volume foods. So when I say high volume foods, like lots of veggies, things that are heavy in fiber, lots of potatoes, like making sure you're having like a lot of protein, drinking a lot of water as well too, to make sure that you're staying full. Because when it comes to getting your summer body, that means getting toned, that means losing fat, that means staying in a calorie deficit. And to stay in a calorie deficit, like the reason that a lot of people don't stay in a calorie deficit is because they're overeating. They're eating too much food. And if you were to even just take away like one thing is just eating your protein, your fiber, and having like high volume foods before having those goodies, before having those treats. That's going to allow you to be able to stay satiated and stay full and not want to eat outside of what you're supposed to be having on a regular basis. Removing junk food from your house or like hiding it. Like I actually have to get my partner to hide her kids' treats away from me so I don't see them. So like out of sight, out of mind. If I don't see it, I'm not going to eat it. Whereas if I see like a bunch of Easter chocolates, which happened during Easter, I just crushed a bunch of Reese's peanut butter cups and a bunch of Kinder eggs because those are my kryptonite. And if they're around me, I'm gonna eat them. So like understanding like how you operate and like planning around that and mitigating things like that can make a huge difference. Maybe it's just purging your house. I actually had a client where she took all of the junk food while she was on the call with me and threw it all into a garbage bag and brought it to her students at because she worked at a school, brought it to all her students so they could eat all of it, took a nice picture of it. But like just something as simple as that, where it's out of sight, out of mind, that's a way to like set your future self up for success because you know that you're eventually going to crave it, especially if you emotionally eat or you stress eat. Not having that in your vicinity can make a huge difference. Make the healthy food and the higher volume foods more convenient. It's not that you want bad food, it's that it's more convenient. If you can make the healthy food more convenient, you're going to stick to it more consistently. Scheduling your workouts that are a non-negotiable as well as meal prep, like setting boundaries around it, making sure like this is mom time, this is your time, like this is gonna be for me, and like communicating that with your kids, communicating that with your partner. Like they don't know what they don't know, so being able to like have that communication, like why you need to be doing it, how it's actually gonna make you show up stronger as a mom, as a partner, like it's good for your work, like it's going to make a huge difference. But it's like making sure you set those boundaries and setting it as a non-negotiable, so important. Sarah, Crescentia, Sophie, what's going on, guys? So summer bodies aren't created from a special workout plan or a special nutrition plan. It's from consistency. Like you'll see all these different things on social media talking about the best fat burning workouts and the best diet plan to follow. Pretty much like, do you know what like a diet is basically a way of like removing certain foods so you can put yourself into a caloric deficit and you eat less food. And if you're able to create more consistency around it, like that is the strategy that you need to go with. It's not restricting certain foods, it's not cutting specific things out, it's not doing specific workouts. Like it's just making sure you're in a calorie deficit and able to create consistency around it and sustainability around it so it gets super ravenous and fall off track and feel like you're starting all over again. That's also why we talk about like the high volume foods and like planning things out. So I won't have it around. It'll be an effort to indulge. Yeah, totally get that. And so one thing that is very overlooked is having a successful morning routine. If you wake up and the first thing that you do in the morning is you're focusing on your kids, you're focusing on your partner, you're focusing on everybody else, and you have zero time for yourself in the morning, you're basically telling yourself that you're not important. How you start the day sets the tone for the rest of the day. Like if you're scrambling, you're stressed out, you're all over the place, you're just drinking coffee, you're not eating food, and you're just trying to get everybody else ready to go, you're basically just telling yourself you're not a priority. Like how you start your morning sets the tone for the rest of the day. Like start small, don't try and change your entire morning routine at once. Like make sure it's digestible, make sure it's something that you can actually implement without it being super daunting and overwhelming. Like continue to do it on the weekend or on vacation, because that's actually a lot of people, they crush it Monday to Friday. And then what we call is don't be a 57 percenter. So I'm gonna come on video for or take it off the presentation for a second. So don't be a 57 percenter. This is a big pitfall for a lot of people where you're crushing it Monday to Thursday, everything's going really well, and then you get to Friday. You're like, no, I've been crushing it all week. I deserve a treat. I can skip that workout. I can go out for a drink or like whatever it is. And then before you know it, Friday's kind of like a little bit off the rails. Like you're not hitting everything the way that you know you probably should be. And like that's obviously doing that here and there is like totally fine. But then going into Saturday, you sleep in, you're taking your sweet time. You're kind of letting the weekend control you versus controlling the weekend and like structuring it out. And you have like kind of a lazy start to your day. So then you're less likely to want to like prep, and like you probably don't have things prepped for the weekend either. Like I'd definitely make sure you're prepping your weekends for sure to like make sure you can make the healthy food more convenient, as I was mentioning before. But if you're going into the weekend just kind of winging it, relying on your ability to remember to do things, like there's so many things that you could be doing on the weekend that it's almost you have like anxiety and like paralysis by analysis because there's so many things that you need to be doing. And then you just are a lot more likely to eat out of convenience, have like chips out of the cupboard, maybe going out for food again. And then Sunday comes around and you have really good intentions to want to like get everything ready for the next week. But you have, again, like your morning routine, like you sleep in, you're taking your sweet time, and you're not getting as much done as you wanted to, where it's starting to move into the next day on Monday, and you're like scrambling to get all your stuff ready to go. And before you know it, like the entire weekend is kind of just gone off the rails. And if you're only hitting Monday to Thursday, you're only hitting 57% of what you're supposed to be hitting. So if you were to just get your weekends down and like be able to start waking up at the same time, doing the same productive morning routine that you do Monday to Friday, then that could immediately increase more productivity, set the tone for the day so you're more focused and you're able to stay on track more during the weekend. I've had so many clients where like they're crushing it all the time, then they get their weekends down. They go from being plateaued to losing weight and seeing all these results because they were always letting their like Friday, Saturday, and Sunday kind of just go off to the wayside because they felt like they earned it. They felt like it was also because it was habitual. It was something that they did for so long that they're like, oh, I just enjoy myself on the weekend. Just because just because you have days off from your work doesn't mean you have days off from your health. And making sure you're fitting the things that you want to have into what you're able to have as well. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as we continue on here. So focus on baby steps over no steps. Remember, progress isn't linear. Like there's going to be many ups and downs, highs and lows along the way. Like this is a perfect representation of how progress is going to go with your journey. Step two, progress is, or not step two, but point two, progress is progress, no matter how big or how small. The important thing is to keep moving forward and still show up, even if it's just a little bit. Even if you're just doing like a 10-minute workout, you're doing 25% instead of doing 100%, not having that 100 or nothing mentality, because you're going to have that become a habit, where it's going to become a pattern where if you can't show up 100%, you're just not going to show up. Whereas if you start to shift that, where it's like, no, it's okay. Like the fact that you're stressed out and you're dealing with all this other stuff and you're still doing 10 minutes, that is you showing up 100%. That is you showing up strong for yourself. Remember, good things take time. Like keep going, keep showing up. So coming back to baby steps over no steps, it's almost 10:30. Need to get to bed. Yeah, definitely watch the replay. Definitely come check that out. Thanks for joining us, Sarah. It was good to see you. Baby steps over no steps. So again, 25% is better than 0%. A 10-minute workout is better than no workout. Even if you don't hit your nutrition 100% the way you want to, just track it. Like just to create awareness around it. Like for those of you that aren't tracking your food, like getting like an app like MyFitnessPal and just tracking what you're eating. Don't try and hit specific calories. Don't try and hit like a specific macronutrient or specific protein or anything like that. Like just track your food. Just track what you're eating. I've had clients where they're plateaued. They're eating a bunch of healthy food all the time. Like they're eating chicken, they're eating rice, they're having potatoes, they're having veggies, they're having fruits, but they're overeating all these things that they're having. Like a lot of people, like peanut butter and avocado are technically healthy for you, and so are nuts, but they're all really heavy in fats, for example. And like fats have the most amount of calories per macronutrient. So if you go and track your food, you're going to be like, oh, I didn't realize that had that many calories. I should probably have less of it. Or I didn't realize I barely eat any protein throughout the day, where you're just going to start being more mindful and prioritizing protein a little bit more. And I had a client who immediately just started losing weight because she stopped eating garlic bread because she didn't realize how many calories were in garlic bread. So she just stopped eating garlic bread and started immediately seeing better results. So just something as simple as that and just creating awareness around it can go a really long way. And instead of trying to hit everything perfectly for nutrition, prioritizing water, protein, and fiber first will go a long way. Like fiber is a complex carb, and fiber is one of the highest satiety foods. So is protein. So if you have a lot of protein, a lot of fiber, and have like a glass of water or two before you have a treat, before you have a meal or something like that, or like maybe you have a meal that's compiled of a bunch of different foods, prioritize protein and fiber and having some water, then go for seconds if you're still hungry. But that's going to help suppress hunger and help you stay satisfied to allow you to stay within a calorie deficit. And instead of prepping for 5 or 7 days for the entire week, prep for 1 or 2 days. Like you don't have to prep for the entire week. Prep for 1 or 2 days so you can break it down and make it less daunting, less overwhelming, so you can still show up. And that's like, especially when you get stressed out and everything, there's this analogy that I talk to my clients a lot about, which you guys might have already heard this on some of the videos that I made, where when you like imagine if you had a friend of yours. So it's like, hey, tomorrow morning, apparently I can't talk. Tomorrow morning, I'm gonna pick you up, we're gonna go work out. They don't pick you up. They're like, okay, maybe something happened. Then they do that 3 or 4 more times. You're gonna be like, screw that person. I'm not gonna trust that person. I'm not gonna rely on that person, right? Then you flip that onto yourself where you're crushing it. Like everything is going really well. And then you're like, things are getting really crazy busy. So you're like, oh, next week's gonna be a lot less crazy. I'm gonna get on it. Or, tomorrow I'm gonna have way more free time. I'm gonna crush a workout. Maybe some stuff comes up. You're really inconsistent with it. You're not really following through with it. So what starts to happen is you actually start to lose trust with yourself. You actually start to lose confidence with your ability to even be able to do it in the first place. And there's a reason that this happens because we almost get to this level of performance. Because I'm sure a lot of you can relate when like you get to a week or 2 weeks or even a month where you're just crushing it. You're crushing your nutrition, you're crushing your workouts, you're drinking a lot of water, you're getting a lot of sleep, like you're feeling really good about it. But in the back of your head, you're not going to be able to sustain that. Like that level of performance that you're really happy with when you're at your best, you're not going to be able to stick to your best all the time. And that's just unrealistic to put that amount of pressure onto yourself. But as soon as you can't bring that same level of performance, you feel like you're half-assing it. Like you don't feel like you're doing enough. So you're like, oh, I'm going to wait till next week. I'm going to wait until I can bring that same level of performance, and then I'm going to do it. And then you're like stuff comes up, you're not able to really follow through with it. This is why you need to focus on habit development, not showing up strong all the time. If you focus on showing up strong all the time, you're setting yourself up for failure. You need to focus on like habit development, where like you're showing up just small steps over no steps, doing a 10-minute workout instead of no workout, like just focusing on like just hitting your protein and your fiber and like then going for treats afterwards. Like just like focusing on those small steps so you're still intentionally doing it. Maybe you're not doing it ideally the way that you want to, but you're still showing up. Where then when you are able to get back to it 100%, it's a lot more of a smooth transition instead of feeling like you have to start all over again. And if you approach this with your habits, you're going to create a lot more longevity and a lot more sustainability around everything. Alrighty. Vanessa, what's going on? Thanks for joining us. So I want to do like a quick 2-minute commercial break. So when it comes to being able to implement, when it comes to implementing, like having a better mindset, being able to make this work with your crazy busy lifestyle, so that way you can make this a permanent lifestyle change, navigate through those ups and downs, make those mindset shifts, be able to implement a strategy for nutrition that you can enjoy, that's sustainable, being able to have flexible workouts and flexible nutrition strategies where you can still show up and still see the results that you want to get in a way where you're still able to prioritize yourself, show up strong for everything else, where it's complementing your life and it's not getting in the way of your other priorities. These are all things that we help our clients when it comes to implementing. And we're looking for 3 more moms that are high achievers that want to be able to bring their health to the next level before the end of this month. So if you want to get a little bit more information on that, if you want to just put the word toning in the comments here, we can reach out to you, give you a little bit more information on how we can help you implement this and be able to get that summer bod, be able to tone up and be able to crush those goals for yourself. So if you want to just get a little bit more information on that, and like, even if we don't end up working together, I'd love to just help you specifically do a strategy call and help you implement this and at least give you a game plan that you can work with. So if that sounds like you, put the word toning below. So TONING. If you just put toning below, we can reach out to you and give you a little bit more information on this. But yeah, let's dive right back into it. So the best workouts for burning fat. The 10 best fat burning exercises. There is no such thing as a fat burning exercise. There is no such thing as a fat burning exercise. It's all about being in a caloric deficit. But I would, however, prioritizing resistance training for building muscle. Because when you have more muscle, you're able to burn more fat because your metabolism works more efficiently. You actually expend more energy because you weigh more. Like muscle weighs more than fat. And because your body weighs more, just by walking, sleeping, just existing as a human being, you actually expend more energy by having more muscle. And what the beauty of this as well too is you can be at a higher body fat percentage and still be a little bit more flex, a little more lax with your calories and the foods that you're having, and still see definition and still see toning. Whereas if you're only just like focusing on nutrition and just doing and just doing nutrition, just focusing on cardio, then you're probably gonna have more of like that flat kind of look where like things aren't really tight, they're not really tight and loose in all the right places. So if you want to see more toning, more muscle, like or more definition, focusing on resistance training, it's also gonna help with you being able to like carry your kids, cleaning the house, carrying all the groceries in at the same time, just having that strength and like feeling empowered, having like less aches and pains as you get older, and just the functionality that comes along with resistance training. And we do actually have, so we're going to dive into a Q&A, but we actually do have some resources for like some 25-minute workouts that you can do at home. We call our at-home accelerator. We got some body weight stuff. We got some resistance band stuff. So if you even want to like put that into the comments as well too, or you just put like workouts, we can just shoot you a message with that as well too. If you put the word workouts into the comments, we can send you those resources for free as well too. We got some nutrition stuff as well too. We got like a family friendly weight loss recipe guide that's going to be family friendly. If you will like have trouble making it fit with your kids and with the rest of the family, we got like a solid recipe guide for that. So more than happy to give that to you guys. Jill, absolutely. Definitely going to chat on Friday. Kathy, okay, awesome. I'll make sure that we reach out to you after this. But I would love to get some questions. Like any questions. Like I just want to open this up to any questions that you guys have, so that way I can serve you guys at the best of my ability. So if you guys had any questions, shoot. Feel free to ask anything. Definitely, Kathy. We'll get you that workout guide for sure. Awesome. Awesome. Any questions? Anything about like anything specifically for you guys? Maybe it's the implementation. Maybe it's like discovering like what your why is. Maybe you have like different roadblocks that you're running into. You're like, Alex, I don't really know how to navigate around this. Like, what is something that maybe identifies for you? It doesn't even need to be during this live right now. If you're watching this as a recording as well, too, you can also feel free to put this in the comments. And I'd love to chat with each and every one of you to help you get more clarity. So that way you can start freaking crushing those goals, guys. I'm going to give it a couple more minutes. I'll just leave this open in case anybody has any questions. And I'll just continue to just also ramble because I love to do that as well too. So for rambling, let's see here. So one of the things that can actually make a huge difference is sleep. Like if you're not getting enough sleep, like if you're only getting 5 hours of sleep right now, you're getting under 6.5 hours of sleep. Before you even get like your workouts and nutrition down, there's actually like a hormone that your body produces where if you don't get enough sleep, you're actually going to be more hungry. So it's going to make it more difficult to stay within a caloric deficit. If you're not getting enough sleep, you're not going to have enough energy. Your metabolism is not going to work as effectively. It's going to be really difficult, and you're going to have higher cortisol levels where more stress, you're not going to be burning as much fat as well too. So just getting enough sleep and like getting a solid evening routine down where you can wind down, making sure you're turning screens off at a certain time and getting to bed on time where you're not binging Netflix and going to that second, third, or fourth episode on your favorite series can help really set yourself up for the next day. And just getting enough sleep is a very overlooked area as well. And then drinking enough water as well too. Like if you're not drinking enough water, like I would say like a good rule of thumb is like 3 liters of water throughout the day. Like also coffee counts, like diet pop counts, anything that is water based does count. Sure, caffeine isn't going to hydrate you, but it's still getting your daily water intake in. It's going to help with your metabolism. It's going to help with you staying more satiated, staying more full, and having more energy as well too. Because if you have more energy, you also expend more energy as well, like where you expend calories, which will then also help you stay within a caloric deficit as well. But yeah, I would say like just coming up with like an action plan. Like even if you just take away from this call, where does HIIT workouts create elevated cortisol in the body? It definitely does stress out your body a bit. Like just doing any kind of like rigorous exercise does stress out your body a little bit. But high intensity interval training, I love high intensity interval training. It actually boosts your metabolism up to 70% for the following 3 days when you're doing interval training. That's also why I like resistance training, because there's a rest in between, like where you're bringing that intensity and then you rest for a little bit of amount of time. And then that actually helps rev up your metabolism. Whereas if you're doing like steady state cardio and like you're doing a lot of steady state cardio, you can actually start to burn muscle and start to lower metabolism. So if you're prioritizing exercises, I would prioritize resistance training, and I love high intensity interval training. I hope that answers your question, Tammy. Any other questions from anybody else? More than happy to help. I love talking about this stuff. I'm just trying to think of some more things that could be beneficial to you guys as we're doing this. So like everything that we talked about like during this presentation, I would go back through it. And if you took like a bunch of notes from this, make sure it's digestible, make sure it's implementable. Knowledge isn't power, applied knowledge is power. So taking what we talked about and just implementing, visualizing your goals, creating a goal that really motivates you, that makes you want to get after it. That's what we call a domino habit, where we'll actually create a domino effect and it'll actually allow you to be able to show up stronger for everything else because you're going to be fueling the fire. And those days that you don't want to show up for, you're going to show up on those days. You're going to create more consistency and you're going to find more opportunity. I often will fast until 4 or 5 p.m. and be quite successful with nutrition, but not movement so far, and have been putting on weight. Does the morning routine include breakfast every day? I'm thinking the fasting has kind of screwed me. Honestly, like fasting, I'm a huge advocate when it comes to just basically fasting is just a way of telling yourself this is a time from this time that I'm not going to eat. And that helps you stay within a deficit. Like I would definitely have like a meal and then basically tell yourself I'm not going to eat from this time till this time. Like my first meal of the day was at 11:30 this morning and it's 6 p.m. and I haven't eaten anything since then. And I've just been drinking water. I had a little bit of coffee. I've been just chewing on gum and I'm going to allocate more of my food to later in the day so that way I can feel full and I can feel satisfied and I can have a little bit more room for some of those good foods that I want to have. So I'm a huge advocate of when it comes to fasting during the day. What I would really recommend, Jill, is like maybe just downloading like MyFitnessPal and just start tracking the food that you are eating. Because for all you know, like there could be like little things that you're having. Maybe you're having some like little snacks at work. Maybe you're having like a bite out of your kid's sandwich. Maybe there's like some condiments or maybe there's some like drinks that you're having. We actually have a hidden calorie training that we have within our the free group if you want to go check that out. And it talks about a lot of hidden calories that might actually go way over your head that can start to really add up over time. And then before you know it, you're like eating 500 or 600 calories more than you're supposed to have. And being in a healthy calorie deficit, you're only about a 300 or 500 calorie deficit from what a maintenance, like just to maintain your body, like a healthy. I do love my mayo. Exactly. So you could go for like light mayo, like even just something as simple as like instead of going for like regular pop, going for diet pop, or like instead of having like coffee creamer at home, having like some almond milk or something like unsweetened almond milk, and just finding a bunch of different ways to have the same things that you normally have, but having it with less calories. Like instead of having like bread, having like protein bread that's high in fiber. Like that would really help with you staying more satiated, and it would help you stay within a deficit as well too. Like I actually have a Ninja Creamy at home where it's you can make at home protein ice cream. I can have an entire pint of ice cream for 250 calories. It's super filling. It's great during the summer season. Like just finding different things like that can make such a huge difference. Make it way more enjoyable, and then you can still be in line with your goals at the same time. Yeah, totally. Like drinks, like condiments, making sure like you're staying away from foods that are like heavy in fats as well too. Like finding leaner, like if you're eating protein, going for leaner protein sources. Like finding like leaner fish, going for chicken instead of ground beef. Like finding like just simple things like that can really start to add up over time. What do I think about pre-workout powder? I love pre-workout. Pre-workout is actually probably one of the best supplements I find, especially when it almost gives you like an itch before you go into your workout, and the itch won't go away until you do the workout. But also there's a component called beta alanine that is within pre-workout that actually boosts performance and strength with your workouts. So I definitely huge advocate when it comes to taking that regularly. Got a creamy. Yeah, go try his out. Absolutely. Definitely go try that out. If you want some good recipes, send me a message. I know like a ton of Instagram pages. If you look up the flexible dieting lifestyle on Instagram, his whole page is like high protein recipes, ninja creamy recipes that are high in protein and taste freaking awesome. So that way you can still have those treats and still crush those goals. Rebecca loving pre-workout. Absolutely. Yeah, no worries, Jill. Of course. Loving the questions, guys. This was such a valuable call. Like, if you just take one thing away from this and implement it, like what I would say is take imperfect action. Don't wait for it to be the perfect time. Don't wait until things line up perfectly the way that you want them to. Take some action as soon as you get off this call. Like, schedule some time in. Like, schedule some time to meal prep this weekend. Maybe go and like start getting some stuff ready for this weekend so you can stay on track, or maybe like winding down early this evening so you can wake up early and like have a productive morning tomorrow. Or like maybe it's starting to get really clear on what your goals are and what you want to create for yourself so you can create motivation and show up on those days that you don't want to and have that discipline. So that way you can create more longevity, more sustainability around this. Thanks for coming, guys. This was really awesome. I can't wait we're going to be doing this every single Friday at 5:30 p.m. We're going to be doing a Q&A on specific subjects, like going forward as well, too. So I'll be announcing it shortly as well, but I'm excited to see you guys next week. If you guys have any questions, you guys need help with anything, feel free to just put them in the comments. If you want that workout guide, put workouts below. And if you want to get a little bit more information on like how we can help you, just put toning below and we can reach out to you, give you a little bit more information. Let's freaking end this week strong. I'll talk to you guys soon.